floor is all yours. I am. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a nice weekend and enjoying the Speed Gaming Marathon so far. Today I will be running the Famicom version of Mickey Mousecapade, and just because of there are a few minor differences between the versions. And with that, I'll start in 3, 2, 1, go. So, a few of the differences between the versions. The sprites are different for the various enemies in the game. The biggest difference is you start off with much less health than you do in the US version. Enemy placements in the room are random. At the very start of the game, you have no weapons to use. So the chest is just a few screens away for Mickey to finally have a weapon. Minnie follows you around always. You can't finish a stage without her. And also, Minnie is invulnerable to everything except pits, which will come in handy later on as long as Minnie actually has a weapon. The majority of enemies in the game will only do but so much damage to you, but most bigger enemies will take a lot more, or it'll be a one-hit KO. In some of these particular rooms, if you actually hit various areas that you can't tell what it is, that means you might get a health, or you might get something that might actually whisk a Minnie away, which you actually don't want, because you have to find a secret room and guess out of 4 statues in order to gain Minnie back. You can't finish the level without her. But fortunately, you only have to worry about that happening in the funhouse, which I'm in now, and the castle later on. So coming up now is the room where I'll have access to Minnie's weapon, but an enemy could also show up as well, in which we call the troll chest. So my hope is that I'll only experience it once, or not at all. That's good luck. So instead of going all the way around the funhouse, we just take a quick death. And in the castle and the funhouse, if you actually die on the top portion of the screen, you'll wind up on the lower end. In the funhouse, we needed a key that we couldn't reach from the very beginning. So we had to go all the way around the funhouse just to get the key from the boss. And now we're on to the ocean. A short level, like some of the others in the game. Now this is where if Minnie actually somehow falls in the pit, then Mickey will unfortunately perish as well. Fortunately, you don't have to worry about, if you're actually hit within mid-jump, you don't have to worry about losing momentum. One of the good things about this version, there's actually more chances for health that you may not see normally, and there's quite a few items that will restore it. A Hudson Bee will clear the screen, a diamond will restore health. Also, if you defeat a few enemies, I believe 10 in a row, then Donald or Daisy's head, I believe Donald's head shows up. Now for the woods area, which consists of 4 seasons, a lot of hidden exits that could either put you to a completely different season, or it can take you back, depending on on the exit that you take. If the host has any announcements they would like to make, this is a good time.
Be sure to check out SpeedGaming 1 for the tournaments that are going on. And of course, with that explanation, donate in the chat. You can donate towards next year's tournament, as well as find some neat merchandise for an after event. Be sure to keep on watching and be sure to follow all of us.
That was an unfortunate death. Probably the biggest worry about the woods, in the US version it would be bears, but in this version, since even though not all of the enemies have to pertain to Alice in Wonderland, you might notice a different some of the different sprite changes. Wow, that's unusual. The bears / Tweedledee Tweedledum in this version, they're definitely more aggressive than I would want them to. Normally they might just hang back and allow me room to get rid of them. And if I'm lucky, I can have them just advance only one at a time. Or in this case, at the very least, stay back long enough in order for me to get rid of both of them. And for the various seasons, the exits that you want to take are located in completely different areas and have different requirements depending on the season. You can completely skip summer by a hidden exit, a hidden tree exit that's right past the normal exit. While in fall, it's a short distance away from where unfortunately those death to Tweedledee and Dum was. For winter, you actually have to complete one loop until you see the start position again. And then the very last season, which is kind of more of wildlife, just with a lot of flowers in the background, you'll just see odd pits just open up. Hoping that you'll actually fall into it. So because of those extra deaths, I at least want one more extra life for usage in the castle. Now the main reason I was firing at some of the flowers, I was hoping for an invincibility to use against the boss. If it appears just before I actually reach the caterpillar or the snake in the US version, as long as it hasn't fully exited the screen yet, I'll be able to do a one-hit KO on the boss. But the luck of it is 33.3%. The pirate stage, about a stage as short as the ocean, but just getting to the boss, very troublesome. You want to avoid contact with as much as humanly possible. Now normally if you have a lot of health, you can take on Peg-Leg Pete or Captain Hook in this version. But since we have a Minnie's weapon, we can just take advantage of using the invulnerability to attack. And no more Captain Hook. So now into the Queen's Palace, or the castle, as it would be called in the US version. The same rules apply here that it does to the funhouse. You want to avoid firing at any specific spots that may produce something hidden, because most likely you will find the bird that will actually whisk a mini away, and then you'll have to open up another exit just to choose between a statue, just to retrieve her. And also, just like the funhouse, to reach the queen, you need this key, which is all the way on the other side. Now that's the back door to the queen. So if you lose a life, or if you accidentally walk out of the door, you'll wind up all the way back there, just to have to go all the way around again. You probably noticed that as the game was going between the different stages, the energy increased. In the US version, you start off with the full amount of health that I have now, normally. But the option to have access to extra health doesn't show up as often. And as you can see, Captain Hook is back, but there's no safe way of getting past. So I used that opportunity to take a damage boost, just so I can wind up in the next room. Get rid of the Walrus, and now onto the Queen, who uses the same patterns as the Walrus does. Just want to get into a small fire rhythm. Just make sure you time the jumps properly, and that's time. So after all of that, Alice just seems unharmed, probably just resting. And other than that, that's Mickey Mousecapade. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Everybody have a nice morning, noon, and evening wherever you are. Stay tuned next for, I believe, Chippendale Rescue Rangers is next. And everybody enjoy the rest of the marathon.